Hello everyone, my name is Mary and I am an educator with Oswego County Opportunities, and I'd like to welcome you to Module 1 of our online version of Be Proud, Be Responsible. Before we begin, we'd like to go into the different programs that we offer through OCO. The first one is we teach evidence-based curriculums in the schools. Our most prominent one is Be Proud, Be Responsible, which is what you're going to be learning over the next couple weeks. We also have our SPOT and LGBTQ drop-in. This is a place for youth to hang out in the evenings. It's a safe spot. There's games, activities, food. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out on Facebook. We also provide connections to reproductive health care. This includes transportations and setting up of appointments. And we also provide free internal condoms, external condoms, dental dams, and lubricants. So if you're interested in any of those, just reach out to us. So now we're going to begin our curriculum. Be Proud, Be Responsible. So before we get into HIV, AIDS, and safe sex, we like to go over why our curriculum is called Be Proud, Be Responsible. So what does being proud mean? It means to feel happy and pleased about something you have done or accomplished, to feel that you've lived up to your expectations and community values, to be secure and confident, and to have self-worth, integrity, dignity, and valuing yourself. Responsible, on the other hand, means to be dependable, dedicated, reliable, committed, truthful, and trustworthy. So some examples of proud and responsible behavior in regards to safe sex are protecting yourself by using a condom during sexual intercourse, abstaining from sexual behavior when no condom is available, and not using alcohol or other drugs. And this also includes abstaining from sex altogether, if that's your choice, and talking with friends, partners, and family members about risk behaviors and encouraging them to protect themselves. So what are some of the benefits of being proud and making responsible, safer sex decisions? Well, you can feel better about yourself, have healthier relationships, stay out of trouble, accomplish your goals, reduce your risk of HIV and other STDs, have a healthier body, stay in school, and feel like you're helping your loved ones and your community. So, do you think teens can get HIV? Well, usually your class says yes, and I hope you agree as well, and this is certainly true. So when it comes to HIV, it doesn't matter who you are, but what you do. So whether you individually can or not, I don't know. I don't know what your actions are, only you do. But you could be at risk depending on what you do. Now with that in mind, what do you think you can do in your social group or community to stop the spread of HIV? So there are a lot of ways that you can help your community. This includes just practicing safe sex yourself, whether that is using protection or not having sex at all. This also includes encouraging your partner to be safe when having sex with you. This could be educating the community on safe sex and HIV. There's a lot of different ways in how to help your community, but just remember that your action not only impacts yourself, but your partner and all of your future partners and your partner's future partners. So this really becomes a community effort to protect everyone against HIV. And this is why we like to use the phrase respect ourselves and protect ourselves, because as I just said, this really is a community movement. And we really hope that these actions not only help yourself, but help those around you. But even if you just remember to use protection once, that could have a chain reaction on the number of people who get protected in the future, depending on how many future partners you and your partner have. Now we like to get into the group agreements that we have going forward with our curriculum. Typically in the school we have a lot of group agreements, but online version there's only a couple I'm going to touch on since we're not in an actual classroom setting. The first one is confidentiality. This is really important because whatever is said in this class stays in this class when it comes to people's personal information. We do not encourage you to share stories that have actually happened to yourself, but they are welcomed if you feel as though it's relevant and you feel comfortable talking about it. And we just hope you don't repeat anyone else's story. Also, keep in mind that we will collect personal information from you, but it's only for statistical purposes so we can get our grant for the next year to keep doing this. We'll not go anywhere else and no one else will see it but us. Next, we have throw glitter, not shade. So for this one, there's going to be a lot of differing opinions in this class between everyone participating, and just realize that we're here to support each other. And it's okay to disagree. Just don't say anything negative to each other. If you have something positive to say, please share it. But if it's negative, it does not need to be shared. And then the last one I want to touch on is inclusivity. There are a lot of ways that this curriculum is not as inclusive as we would like it to be. We try our best to make it inclusive, but it is not always, and that's something that we need to work on. But know that us educators and advocates are a safe space to come to if you have any questions, and also be inclusive of your peers as you're taking this. And if you do have any questions in regards to inclusivity, and because something's not covered in a way you would like, just reach out to us. We're really here for you, and we would love to share that information with you. So now we're going to get into the discussion of HIV and AIDS and what that all is. So before we go into HIV, we like to discuss the immune system. And the immune system is a collection of cells and chemicals that protect the body against anything foreign, such as a disease, that makes people sick. When the system works as it should, white blood cells in the body attack organisms that should not be there. So when you feel sick, your immune system attacks the sickness, and then you get better. So that's basically what you need to know. So what is HIV? HIV is the human immunodeficiency virus. This is the virus that causes AIDS. People who have HIV in their bodies are said to be HIV positive, meaning that they have HIV. HIV damages the body's immune system, which we just said is the system in your body that protects you from disease. And when the immune system becomes weak, it no longer can fight off different types of infections. And this is how you actually become sick and die if you have HIV. So unfortunately, there is no cure for HIV. There are treatments that can be started while a person still feels healthy. And these can let people live normal and healthy lives. I will say that in the news, there have been 2 people reported to have been cured of HIV and AIDS. Both of those people were very extreme circumstances, and they took very dangerous measures in order to do that normally would not be taken by a person in a medical facility. So I just want you to keep in mind that we are looking into ways to cure it, and I would say that in the future there will be a cure. At the moment, there is no general cure for the public. So what is AIDS? AIDS stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome. And AIDS is a stage of HIV when the immune system has become very weak and damaged. When this happens, other diseases and infections can enter the body, including rare types of pneumonia, yeast infections, cancers, and brain infections. These are called opportunistic infections because they can take advantage of the weakened immune system. So speaking of current news, this can kind of be connected to COVID-19 or the coronavirus. So we've heard in the news that there are different people who are at greater risk if they do get it. And one of those people are groups of people are people with weakened immune systems. So if you were to have HIV or AIDS, you would actually fall into this category. Because as it says here, HIV weakens the immune system over time. And then eventually this allows the body to easily be taken over and unfortunately not make it through a sickness. And one of these is the coronavirus. So this is a great parallel of how a normally healthy person could end up in a really unfortunate circumstances because of getting HIV and then AIDS. So how is AIDS different from HIV? HIV, as we mentioned, is a virus that enters the body and damages the immune system. And people with HIV can live with many years without ever getting sick. They may look and feel healthy and might not even know they have the virus. And people who take medication to treat HIV may be in the stage for several decades, although they can still transmit HIV to others. However, on that note, there are medicines that can be taken right now that lower the amount of the viral load in your body so much that you cannot transmit it to others. So all the time we are improving our medicines. So now it's getting to the point where you can safely have sex with someone and not transmit it at all. We would still encourage protection, but just knowing that's becoming better and better for someone with HIV to live a normal life is really comforting. So AIDS, on the other hand, is a condition that develops as a result of the damage done to the immune system. And as the amount of the virus in the body starts to go up and the CD4 CD4 cells begin to go down, the person may begin to have symptoms. And a person with HIV is diagnosed as having AIDS when the CD4 count drops below a certain level, or when certain opportunistic infections develop, such as something like the coronavirus. So this is a little graphic I like to show to try to really explain how HIV then becomes AIDS and why this really hurts the body. So if you look in the first little vial on the left, the blue cells represent the immune system and the red represent HIV. So in that first little thing, you see that there's a lot of the immune system and a little bit of the HIV. But as the years go by, you have more and more HIV attacking the immune system cells, all the way until you get to the 10. As you can see, there's a ton of HIV cells and very little immune system cells. So what happens is, let's say you got sick at 2 years. You'd get sick, but you'd heal, you'd be fine because you have a lot of immune system cells to fight it off. The HIV cells don't really do anything, they're just kind of there. But as the further you get down and you get to 10, you get sick, and there's only a very little amount of immune system cells to fight off the sickness. The HIV cells aren't actually doing anything. They have just killed the immune system cells, so they're not able to fight off. So a person will end up passing away because they have so little immune system cells that they cannot fight it off, not because the HIV is actually hurting the body, if that makes sense. Now that you know what HIV is and how it works, we'll talk about what different tests there are for it. So the most common one is the antibodies test, and this tests using blood or saliva. This is the most common one, and if you were to get tested for HIV, that's the one that you would get. A more immediate one is the testing of antigens, and this only looks at the blood. This one, though, is more rare and more expensive, so you probably would not get this test. And then the last test is through the use of genetic material, and this is also using blood. This one is more commonly used if someone donates blood, and they want to make sure there's no HIV in the blood before you receive it. So when it comes to testing, it's important to keep in mind the window period, and this is the length of time between when a person first gets HIV and when an HIV test can begin to detect signs of the virus in the body. This can be anywhere from 2 weeks or 6 months long, depending on what type of test is done. So it's important to know that you could have sex today, and tomorrow you are not going to be able to know if you have it or not. You might not know for up to 6 months, which is a long time and can be really scary, but this is why it's really important to use protection when having sex, because you could have HIV and not even know it, and so could your partner. And during this window period, people can still transmit HIV to others. Your partner could have gotten it from someone else 3 months ago and then give it to you because they don't even know they had it, even though they've been tested. So how do people get HIV? Well, as you probably already know, it's through sex. And this is unprotected vaginal, anal, or oral sex. So any of those 3 ways can transmit HIV. It can also be transmitted by sharing needles. This could be injecting drugs, vitamins, steroids, hormones, tattoos, or piercings. And also from mother to child, this can be before birth, during birth, or through breastfeeding. So HIV can be transmitted any of these 3 ways. The actual fluids that are transmitted, that we refer to as the 5 fluids, are blood, semen, vaginal secretions, breast milk, and rectal fluids. Now for these 5 fluids to be transmitted, there must be an open sore in the body to transmit them. So the fluids must get into an open sore on or inside the body. HIV, however, is not transmitted through casual day-to-day contact, through the air. It must get inside the body to infect a person. If there's a pool of blood on the floor, you're not going to get it unless you have an open cut and you put your cut into the blood. People cannot get HIV from touching, coughing, sneezing, toilet seats, eating utensils, swimming pools, water fountains, doorknobs, phones, donating blood, hugging, dry kissing, sharing food, tears, saliva, sweat, urine, mosquitoes, or other insects. I like to really point out the saliva one here. So it's really important to know that you could easily share food with someone, kiss someone, do things like that. And you're not going to get it that way. As you can see from this list, it's really easy to be friends with someone with HIV and live a totally normal life and not have to worry about it. So who is at risk? It's important to know it's what people do, not who they are, that puts them at risk for HIV. People who are at risk for HIV, if they have sex with someone who has had other partners, they've had unprotected sex, they share needles or syringes to inject drugs, or have sex with someone who has, they share needles or other sharp objects for tattooing, piercing, or any other reasons. You could be at risk right now, or you may not be at risk at all, because it's not who you are, but what you do, and that's important to know. So how can you reduce your risk? Well, there's 2 really easy ways. The first is to not have sex at all. This includes vaginal, anal, or oral, and also to not inject drugs or share needles for any reason. However, it can be unrealistic, especially the older you get. So we always encourage you to use a latex condom for vaginal, anal, or oral sex, and avoid having multiple partners or overlapping partners. Also, to discuss HIV with a partner, and to not use alcohol, marijuana, or other drugs that impair judgment, and to also get tested for HIV. And we hope you never use drugs for any reason, but if for any reason you do use needles, just make sure they are sterile needles.